Hey guys, I'm Mr. Bohork, and today I want to talk about linear equations, specifically about changing forms. Changing forms. I've written all three ways to write a linear equation. We've got our slope-intercept form here. So this is slope-intercept. We've got point-slope, and we've got standard form. All right. So basically what I'm going to do in this video is I'm just going to give some examples, and I just want to show how to convert between the different forms. So how do I go from slope-intercept form to standard form, and etc. So I'm going to start by going from standard form to slope-intercept. So I'll do this all in red. So I'm going that way. So let's say I've got some equation. Let's say it's 3x plus 2y. Remember, I'm starting in standard form equals 8. Starting in standard form. Remember, standard form has A, B, and C. A, B, and C are all integers. They can't be decimals or fractions. So I'm going to go ahead and I want to solve for y because I want to make it look like slope-intercept. So I want this y by itself. So I need to get y by itself. So let's subtract 3x on both sides. Those cancel out. And that leaves me with 2y equals, now I could say 8 minus 3x, but I'm going to have to switch it because I want it to say mx plus b. So I'll say negative 3x plus 8. And all I did is I just used my negative rules right there to switch it up. I knew the 3x is negative because I'm subtracting it and it's adding the opposite. And I know 8 is positive. So now I just want to divide both sides by 2. And when I divide by 2, I can write the whole thing over 2, or I can just think, okay, everything's going to get divided by 2. So that's y equals negative 3/2 x plus 8 divided by 2 is 4. So there it is. That is the equation in slope-intercept form. I went from standard form to slope-intercept form. So let's do another one where instead, let's go vice versa. Let's go from slope-intercept, let's go all the way to standard. Okay. So let's start with something in slope-intercept form. Let's say y equals negative 1/2 x plus 3. It sounds good to me. So the first thing you may notice is that, well, we have a negative 1/2 x. In standard form, we're not allowed to have fractional coefficients, is what we call that. So this needs to be an integer. So what I'm going to do to get rid of any fractions is I'm going to multiply both sides by the denominator here. I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. And I'm allowed to do that. It's just a rule for equations. I'm allowed to multiply both sides of an equation by 2. So that's going to be 2y. And then I'm going to do this whole side times 2. And that means I'm going to have to distribute a 2 to both of these terms. So everything gets multiplied by 2. So I got 2y equals, well, 2 times negative 1/2 x, that's just negative 1x. And then 2 times 3 is 6. And I'm actually almost done. I want something x plus something y equals c. So let's add x to the other side. Those cancel out. And that leaves me with, and I'm going to switch this. I'm going to say, I could say 2y plus x, but I know I have to write something x plus something y. So x plus 2y equals, what I'm left with, 6. There it is. That's standard form. Something x plus something y is 6. And the numbers in front of x, y, and this constant over here, they're all integers. Okay, so I did do that correctly. Now, finally, let's just do a few more. Let's say I want to go from point slope into slope-intercept. So I'm going to go point slope to slope-intercept. So let's say I have y minus 3 is equal to, let's just do an easy one. How about 2 times x minus 7? So in order to get to slope-intercept, it's really similar to the one I did in red here where I was going from standard form to slope-intercept, is I just want to solve for y. I want to get y by itself. Now, I could add 3 and y would be by itself, but then I'd have all this mess with parentheses. So I think the first step, what I want to do is I want to distribute first before I start moving stuff around to both sides. So that'll be 2 times x, which is just 2x. And then 2 times 7 is negative 14 because that's a minus 14. Minus 14. And now let's add 3 to both sides, and you can see that it's actually not bad from here. We're almost done, actually. So those cancel out. Y equals 2 x, and this negative 14 plus 3, remember this is negative 14, plus 3, that's negative 11. So you can say minus 11 or plus negative 11. So let's just do one more. We'll do it in, let's say, magenta. We're going to go from point slope to standard form. Point slope to standard form. Now, if you notice, as we've been doing this, I never went from standard form to point slope, and I never went from slope intercept to point slope, because you have to know a skill called factoring, and this is a video intended for pre-algebra class, and we haven't done factoring, so I'm not going to be converting to point slope form. Okay? It's always from point slope to something else, just to point that out. So let's say, you know what, let's actually, to save on time, we're going to start with the example that we did in the last one. Y minus 3 equals 2, and then x minus 7. Now, in order to get this to standard form, actually the first thing we would have to do is change it to slope-intercept form. So we've already done that. Let's do, that's y equals 2x minus 11. So we already did that. From here, okay, now that we've changed it to slope-intercept form, okay, from here, let's go ahead and change it to standard form because it's actually pretty easy from here. So we got to move 2x to the other side because we want something x plus something y equals c. Ax plus by equals c. So those cancel out. And that leaves me with negative 2x plus y. You can say y minus 2x, but you got to switch it. The x has to come first. Equals, and we're left with a negative 11. And there's our standard form. And you may hear some people say that, oh, the leading coefficient, this negative 2, it's not supposed to be negative. I think it can be. I think that's fine. It's debatable in the math world. I know as math people, we debate about incredibly exciting things like that. But I say the leading coefficient for standard form can be negative. I think that's A-okay. All right, so I'm Mr. Bohork, and this was with linear equations. This was changing forms for linear equations.